of Gucci and The Last Duel, but that was extenuating circumstances of a global pandemic.
Exactly.
This was just
We're not going to
another year for Ernie Hahn.
Yes. Oh man, what a difference 3 decades makes.
Yeah.
I don't think, did Ridley Scott have a movie come out in 1990?
Hang on, I'll let you know.
Okay.
No.
Look at that.
No, he
People is
didn't.
not busy at all.
I think, which is odd because he normally he's a prolific guy.
Yeah, he does like little movies too. It's like, he'll do like what's the movie The Mission with Robert De Niro where he plays like the sword fighter.
He had Black Rain in '89 and Thelma and Louise in '91, so just missed the year.
Man, but those are two. No, man, he took a year off because Black Rain's awesome and Thelma and Louise is, not the biggest fan of Thelma and Louise, but I know a lot of people do like it.
I really like it, but because he had a video for Chanel No. 5 out in '90, but Christopher McDonald in Thelma and Louise is a beautiful performance.
Yeah.
I'll watch him in anything.
But yeah, I wish there was more Ford Fairlane. Bring back Ford Fairlane.
I mean, yeah, I'm up for it. I mean, Dice is still active. We could have an old Ford.
It could be more like a Chinatown, if anything. Now it could be like really old, broken down Ford Fairlane, where he's trying to. Yeah, but then I think he would make it too much like fish out of water. Like he's like, I'm used to the old ways of doing things, and everything is like there's no CDs anymore. It's all digital music and things like that. Which I guess you could make funny, but
you got to find these 3 NFTs.
Yeah. See, there you go. It's like what's an NFT? NFT, and then NFT is whatever acronym he comes up with, like no effing thing or something, whatever he says. So, I mean, we could have it, but I think I would be too depressed watching the film.
Yeah.
I mean, this isn't a bummer.
A Lego sequel that we need is
no. This is not Ghostbusters Afterlife, I guess. Sorry,
the
guys.
Further Adventures of Ford Fairlane.
There you go. Even better. The adventure ends.
So, what's some of the action set pieces that you pick out from this one? We have the boat fight, we have the building descent.
Yeah, the graveyard chase scene is pretty good.
Yeah, when he's driving a hearse with what he assumes is a scantily clad female corpse in it, lolling around.
There's even the assumption, basically, like right before I guess this is something that probably people don't like either. The 2 guys that are in the back of the hearse and
the perks of the job.
The perks of the job. It's like, wait a minute, did they just?
I think he's zipping up his fly or something when he's at the start.
So you think, I'm like, oh my god, these guys just like had sex with a corpse in the back, and then sure enough, she wakes up like, oh my god, she's like, oh god, okay, at least she's not dead. I don't know what's worse though, somebody having sex with a unconscious woman or somebody having sex with a corpse. So.
Well, and he's as far as he's aware, alone in the car with a corpse, and he's still joking around with like, oh no, keep your head down there. To
yeah,
like this dead person.
A lot of stuff people would like that whole scene would just be like cancel, would be like, no, you got to take out this whole 10-minute chase scene, or just take out those parts and just have them chasing in a car basically. So I do like that one because it has the phone call, so it has like funny moments in it.
And you have the Bobby Black's coffin of this giant clear plastic pill shaped thing that with lights on it that at some one point and then because the graveyard is on a hill.
Yes.
So at some point it gets let loose and just tumbles down the hill.
It's like the cheese down the hill and everybody's chasing it.
The group is chasing it.
Yes, and after they all paid $100 and I guess a BJ to get into the Bobby Black section. And, yeah. Oh god. So yeah, there's a lot of that stuff, and the more I say it, the more I'm like, okay, I'm glad I like this movie for what it is, but I can see why a lot of people hate it and would hate it even more now. This isn't a movie I think you could freely give to somebody going like, oh, it's hilarious. Like, I'm offended by everything in this movie.
Yeah, I'm glad I didn't watch this with my wife. Because she gets very offended with like the Pierce Brosnan Bond films, let alone the Roger Moore or Sean Connery Bond films.
Yeah, and it's like, these guys are creeps. Like, well, you want to see a real creep? Here's a creep for you. But he's playing
meet Andrew Dice Clay.
Meet the Dice Man. The Dice Man cometh. I like the chase scene. I like the Capitol Records scene a little bit, even though it's kind of hokey and they're going down from floor to floor to floor, but. It also has the whole Jimi Hendrix thing that I think is funny.
Oh, the guitar, yeah.
It's all scratched up. That's another thing I quote all the time. It's all scratched up. I quote this movie all the time. People were like, "Why are you saying these things?" Like, lost on a generation, I guess. So
You borrow my VHS of the Adventures of Ford Fairlane. You borrow my VHS player. And
yes, here you go. It's a top down too. You have to press it down. You don't put it in. It's no one.
One of the scenes that would definitely have to be reworked if it were remade today is when he is hiding out in the sorority house.
Oh yeah, quantum
when because his house is blown up. They steal his guitar. They set a timer on the microwave to explode. Which I like that sequence. They get out. They like dive into the sand and they go, maybe it's nothing explode.
Maybe it's a pot pie.
Yeah, so there's good timing to that one. But so he and Zuzu are hitchhiking and they get picked up by Melody, played by Anaconda's Carrie Wurra.
Yes.
Amongst other things. And she takes them back to her, which is a girl that he met in the club in the first scene. She wants him to
You're
look
a
into
poet and you didn't know it. Yes.
Yeah. So they need to hide out somewhere, so she takes them back to her sorority house, which as soon as Ford sees the house and the inhabitants, he does the kind of boss nass kind of thing.
Looking at the entire thing, like, wow, there's college girls everywhere.
This is just a building full of scantily clad young women bending over, playing Twister, deep-throating corn dogs.
But none of them are naked.
Well, there's one in a shower who see the silhouette, and then there's one who's changing a light bulb wearing a very short t-shirt.
Yes, and you would think there would be more nudity in this film. There isn't any nudity at all. It's I guess done tastefully. You
Not the word I'd have used,
that,
but okay.
Maybe.
Ford Fairlane, tasteful.
Tasteful. That was one of the reviews. It was Roger Ebert actually wrote that review. He was like, tasteful.
In his 1-star review, he was not a fan.
Yes.
He called it loud, ugly, and mean-spirited.
I don't mean-spirited. That seems a little excessive right there. Mean-spirited. I don't really think anything. Is it raunchy and offensive? Yes. Mean-spirited. I don't know. I don't think so. But I'm not Roger Ebert or Gene Siskel, so what do I know? Rest in peace.
Absolutely. And everyone's allowed to like the films they like, dislike the films they don't. But I would say it's loud, ugly, mean-spirited is not something that I would. It's loud, definitely. It's a film about music. It's going to be. But I disagree with the rest of that. Anyway, I liked the Capitol Records descent. That was fun. I didn't particularly enjoy the villain's comeuppance with the old standing behind them with a microphone gag, just because it's been seen too many times. That kind of goes beyond parody at that point, and it's just how a bad film would end.
It's kind of like, but how would you do it? I guess any other way? Like they never set anything up where Julie Grundle would make himself cop, and then he's caught like a total idiot. Like he does his monologue, his exposition, his villain monologue, if you will. Even though he monologues a lot, and like I think the 3 scenes he's in, he monologues. It's like when he's monologuing to Ford about Kyle Troy, and then when he's monologuing to him again, where he's about to kill him in the Capitol Records building, and then he monologues again, which is I like that because it's just taking the piss out of the whole villain type thing. Like all he does is monologue, but I guess he doesn't monologue at the high society lunch right before he eats shark. I like how they serve shark. Which hey, that moves him perfectly to the Deep Blue Sea as well.
It does. Later in this podcast, I'll be doing comparisons between this film and Deep Blue Sea, and that is on that list. They eat shark steak.
Sorry, I beat you to it.
Not a problem. I'm happy you saw it. In 12 Rounds, there's a parade that features a shark in it.
Oh God, man, always sharks.
He gets it in there somewhere. Yeah.
But yeah, the comeuppance. I like his comeuppance, but the way he gets found out is kind of like
he gets taken down by having the Sambuca milkshake thrown on him and then set alight as if that's actually going to set his clothes on fire.
Yeah, and then Ford proceeds to light another cigarette after he throws his cigarette out. So
he's always smoking.
Always every smoking. Every scene he has a cigarette in his mouth, and he never finishes the cigarette. It's like 2 puffs, throws it out when he does his little thing. Yeah. And but I've always like whenever I have smoked a cigarette, I've always wanted to smoke a cigarette like Ford Fairlane does. So I will give him he's a regular Joe Camel.
So when he catches fire from the milkshake being doused on him, I was wondering how much of that is Sambuca? How much of that is alcohol compared to what's the Sambuca to dairy ratio in the milkshake? Because it has to be very high alcohol content to catch fire that much of him.
Well, knowing you, I would have thought, have you looked up the recipe for the Sambuca milkshake?
I haven't, because I'd be too tempted to make it, and I don't want to.
I don't like Sambuca.
No one does.
But I like milkshakes, and the concept of a Sambuca milkshake sounds fun. But in the beginning, the bartender makes it for me. He's like, "Oh, it's still too thin, but you're getting better, Johnny." And I guess at the end, he made the perfect Sambuca milkshake. So I don't know, but I would think it's probably just. Probably, I'm paying 5 ounces Sambuca, 1 ounce milk, maybe.
Well, the recipe that I've found just says, take a vanilla milkshake, add Sambuca, light on fire. That's not enough of a recipe. I'm sorry, I need a bit more than that.
What do you expect?
What do you
want, some nutmeg in there or something like that? Or you want like a
cinnamon
I need
stick
in there or something?
Quantities. You can't say take a milkshake, add Sambuca. Okay, there's another one. Here we go. 5 ounces of Sambuca, 6 ounces of Kahlua. 1 cup of whole milk, 2.5 ounces of vodka, 2.5 ounces of rum. Oof. For a Sambuca milk. This is pretty lethal.
Okay. That just sounds like a Long Island milkshake at this point, not even a Sambuca milkshake.
Well, that's kind of like a white Russian with Sambuca in it.
Pretty much. I'm tempted to try that, though. That does sound kind of good.
You can add bananas for a thicker texture.
There you go. Okay, so you got to do it. You got to do it the right way. That's how you got the texture thing.
I have all of these ingredients apart from Sambuca, so I could do most of this.
Yeah, I think. Now. What would you sub out for Sambuca? I guess anise or something like not anise, but anisette or something like that, or maybe
some licorice flavored. I hate licorice, so I don't.
Absinthe.
Ugh. See, none of these things are nice.
I know. Everything else is nice except the Sambuca.
Yeah, it's
Let's do a virgin Sambuca milkshake. Just virginized the Sambuca. No Sambuca, but everything else is perfectly great in it. So it is something that Dice would probably drink though. Sambuca milkshake. That just sounds like a Dice drink. So
yeah. And then after that scene, we go back to his house. I think he's like seeing what's still there, and then that's when Robert Englund shows up again, Smiley.
Yes.
Still not dead. And he pulls a gun, he's going to shoot him, and then Ford manages to convince him, "Nah, put the gun down, we'll fight this mano a mano." And then he does. And then Ford mocks him for putting the gun down and shoots him.
See, yeah, things like that. That scene, to me, I like that scene because it is just kind of a sum up of like any action trope, basically, any action movie trope. But it goes on a little too long. It's like, I feel like he's doing like a set. He was doing like... He broke down. He did like maybe a 6-minute set in a show. He said, "Okay, I'm going to compress it and make a 2-minute set in this film about people in movies who drop their guns and then they get killed or something like that." So it felt just like a bit, which was like, okay. And then he kills Smiley.
Yeah, and he's calling him stupid for a while, whilst Smiley is holding like a Crocodile Dundee sized knife.
Yes.
And I feel like, stop monologuing. He's going to throw that knife into your forehead. Like, this is... Something bad is going to happen with this sword he's just put out of nowhere. But no, because we haven't mentioned that Ford has the taxi driver sleeve gun.
Yes.
Which I really enjoyed when that didn't work. When he's during the chase in the graveyard, when he goes to pull it and it flies off and falls into Robert Englund's car. That was great.
Yeah, it worked on Slam the Sleaze bag when he shoots the disco ball. It worked there. And then it worked this time. But in the middle, the first time he tried to shoot Smiley, it didn't work. But the second time it worked perfect. So
yeah.
But then the thing about the Flintstone ring and everything too, that kind of pays off, and it pays off in the scene at the Capitol Records building, and then it's explained further in that scene as well too about the kid's father. It's not really his father. So
I read somewhere that the Robert Englund character was supposed to be Billy Idol, or at least was based on him. And then elsewhere in the film we have Sheila E. singing at the club, Tone Loc.
Yep.
Is doing a musical interlude at one point. What did you think of the musical cameos in this?
I liked it. I mean, I liked Morris Day in it. I thought he was funny. He's great. He just has that kind of, that Motown look with the hair and the way he talks. It's like very snappy and everything, snappy dresser. It reminds me of everything about Prince and everything, which I love. I wish Prince would have made
he's in Purple Rain, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. It's Morris Day in the Time. And I wish Prince was in this. That would have been hilarious. But Sheila E.'s good as playing Sheila E. as a singer.
Yeah.
And I liked. You just said, oh, who's the other person?
Tone
you
Loc?
said? Tone Loc, yeah, Tone Loc is funny, even though it's such like a caricature of like rapping at the time, but I still think it's funny. And I think he